Dr. Jose Rizal's life has been a big part of the history of the Philippines. Therefore, the controversy regarding his retraction became a big deal not only to the Filipinos but also to those who wants to prove what the real truth is. The news about his re-embracement with the Catholic faith and this association to the Masonry gathered different perspective from those who believe as well as from those who did not. This analysis is a compilation of gathered information and proofs of the primary and secondary sources from those who provided their own version of narrative regarding our national hero's alleged retraction. At the beginning of creating this task, we cannot deny the fact that a large number of youth are not aware about this specific occasion regarding Rizal's life. This signifies the importance of why research are so relevant for the students. It has become their trigger to look beyond and dig for broader knowledge. More importantly, since the authenticity of Rizal's retraction cannot be confirmed, this analysis will serve as a basis for individuals to stand for their own evaluation and decide whether they would believe that this man who bravely fought for the oppressed really signed the retraction paper. The first one is to provide different grounds in relation to the event of Jose Rizal's retraction. It includes the statement of both the pro-retraction and anti-retraction camp to support their argument as a basis of what could have happened a few hours before Rizal's death. The second objective is to broaden the understanding of people concerning the possible reasons why Rizal might or might have not signed the retraction paper. Here in this analysis were a couple of proof and disproof concerning Dr. Jose Rizal's alleged terms for signing the document as well as the grounds of why he never did retraction. The last objective of this project is to analyze the primary and secondary sources. As this occasion occurred for more than a century already, the statements of the eyewitnesses, analysis of historians, and claims of researchers became the main basis for doing further study about the retraction of Rizal.
Gregorio Fernandez Zaid. He is known for being a Filipino historian, educator, and author. His literature contains a lot of claims of the Philippine history. He was born on May 25, 1907 in Pagsanhan, Laguna, Philippines. He graduated valedictorian from Laguna High School, now called the Pedro Guevara Memorial National High School, in Santa Cruz, Laguna in 1926. He earned his Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of the Philippines UP in 1927 and his Master of Arts degree from Columbia University in New York City in 1930. He later obtained his Doctor of Philosophy degree from UP in 1940. Zaid served as a professor of history and government at the University of the Philippines and also held teaching positions at several other universities in the Philippines and abroad. Gregorio Zaid is famous for being a good writer of books about Philippine history. Example of his book is a documentary history of Katipunan, History of Katipunan, Philippine Political and Cultural History, Great Events in Philippine History, History of the Filipino People, Jose Rizal Life, Works and Writings, The Philippine Revolution, and The Pageant of Philippine History. This article of Gregorio's is the one that people are more familiar with among his many writings about Philippine history. Multi-awarded author Zain wrote 67 books and more than 500 articles about history. He is known as the Dean of Filipino Historiographers. He was one of the founders of the International Association of Historians of Asia, or IAHA, and president of the Philippine Historical Association for 3 terms.
Dr. Gregorio Zaider wrote the book Rizal Life, Works, and Writings on 1957. This book contains information about Rizal from his early days up until the time that he died. The initial purpose of the author on inscribing this book is to acknowledge the life, works, and writing of our national hero. He wants to promote the use of these ideas in solving the current social and personal difficulties and issues, to gain greater appreciation and comprehension of all that Rizal sacrificed his life for, and more importantly, to encourage the youth of our country to choose honor over gains. This book helped in determining proof and even disproof about the retraction. We may be open with the possibility of Rizal's retraction, but as of now, even the primary sources, which are actual accounts of the eyewitnesses of the event, was only hand-down information. In order to be able to convey himself in the book, Dr. Saide decided to write it in both English and Tagalog in order for the contents to be understood by all. The book contains other dialects, so he then selected languages so that we might comprehend and appreciate what occurred during his time. Aside from the fact that the author wanted to imprint knowledge regarding the whole truth about Rizal, his composition is considered timely during the year that he published the book, since he wanted people to know how much our ancestors fought for the freedom of the next generations. The author's perspective is to inform us and explain whether Rizal really retracted or not. The book does not only revolve around Rizal's retraction, but was also provided with the information of Rizal's voyage and his personality for readers to assess themselves whether Rizal really signs a retraction letter or not, basing on his early deeds in life and the evidences provided in the document. At least 4 texts of Rizal's retraction have surfaced. The first text was published in La Voz Española and Diario de Manila on the very day of Rizal's execution, December 30, 1896. The second text appeared in Barcelona, Spain on February 14, 1897 in the fortnightly magazine in La Juventud. It came from an anonymous writer who revealed himself 14 years later as Father Balaguer. The original text was discovered in the Archdiocesan Archives on May 18, 1935, after it disappeared for 39 years from the afternoon of the day when Rizal was shot. The fourth text appeared in El Imparcial on the day after Rizal's execution. It is the short formula of the retraction. The second one is the English translated version of Rizal's retraction letter. I declare myself a Catholic, and in this religion in which I was born and educated, I wish to live and die. I retract with all my heart whatever in my words, writings, publications, and conduct has been contrary to my character as son of the Catholic Church. I believe and I confess whatever she teaches, and I submit to whatever she demands. I abominate Masonry as the enemy which is of the Church, and as a society prohibited by the Church. The diocesan prelate may, as the superior ecclesiastical authority, make public this spontaneous manifestation of mine in order to repair the scandal which my acts may have caused, and so that God and people may pardon me. On March 17, 1521, originally March 16 of 1521, Ferdinand Magellan reached the Philippines through his expedition. He is better known as the Portuguese explorer who organized the Spanish expeditions to the East Indies from 1519 to 1522. This is the beginning of the introduction of our nation to the Spaniards. On February 13, 1565, it was the very exact date that the Philippines was colonized by the Spaniards. On July 3, 1892, the La Liga Filipina was established by Dr. Jose Rizal with the aim to fight for the country's independence from Spanish colonial rule, but was dissolved shortly after its creation. Moving on July 6, 1892, Rizal was exiled in the Pitan following his arrest and imprisonment in Fort Santiago, Manila, where he spent 4 years for his involvement in propaganda movement. August 23, 1896, the Philippine Revolution started, where a series of battles were fought by Filipinos to end Spain's 333-year rule over the Philippines. On November 20, 1896, Dr. Jose Rizal appeared before Judge Advocate Colonel Francisco Olive to answer the charges that have been pressed against him. Presented before him were documentary and testimonial evidences. This preliminary investigation lasted for 5 days. On December 11, 1896, in his prison cell, Rizal was read the charges against him. Principal organizer and the living soul of the Filipino insurrection, the founder of societies, periodicals, and books dedicated to fermenting and propagating the ideas of rebellion. On December 26, 1896, trial of Rizal began at the Cuartel de España. On the same day, the court-martial secretly and unanimously voted for a guilty verdict with the penalty of death before a firing squad. Governor General Camilo de Polavieja approved the decision of the court-martial and ordered Rizal to be shot at 7 o'clock in the morning of December 30 at Bagong Bayan Field. On December 29, 1896, at around 12 until 3 in the afternoon, Rizal wrote letters and probably wrote his last poem of 14 stanzas, which he wrote in his flowing handwriting in a very small piece of paper. The untitled poem was later known as Mi Ultimo Adios, or My Last Farewell. Father Balaguer and Villa Clara returned to Rizal around 3 o'clock in the afternoon and tried until sunset to persuade him to recant. They were still not able to convince him to sign the retraction document. But, on their third meeting with Rizal, it was during this meeting that they showed Rizal the 2 retraction templates Father P had given them. According to Father Balaguer, Rizal found the first template unacceptable because it was too long and its language and style were not reflective of his personality. So Father Balaguer withdrew it and offered a shorter one. Rizal did not sign it right away because he was uncomfortable with the statement, "I abominate Masonry as a society reprobated by the Church." Rizal wanted to emphasize that Philippine Masonry was not hostile to Catholicism and that Masonry in London did not require its members to renounce their faith. The Jesuits allowed Rizal to revise the retraction template, and his final version read, "I abominate Masonry as the enemy of the Church and reprobated by the same Church." On December 30, 1896, with the captain shouting "Fuego," shouts rang out from the guns of 8 Indio soldiers. Rizal, being a convicted criminal, was not facing the firing squad. As he was hit, he resists and turns himself to face his executors. He falls down and dies facing the sky. Here are some arguments found in the document. The first one is the reason why the Catholic Church wanted Rizal to retract. The novels Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, written by Dr. Jose Rizal, are so influential that it greatly tarnished the reputations of the prior. So, they wanted him to retract as a sign of him taking back his early words about the Spaniards. The second one is the authenticity of Rizal's retraction. The prior stated that once Rizal retracted, they will provide him his sacraments, including his right to marry Josephine Bracken, as well as to be treated like a Catholic. But there was no proof of marriage between him and Bracken. Moreover, Rizal's body was secretly buried at an unknown cemetery, wherein no blessings were given nor a mass was conducted. The last one is the fact that the original letter of retraction was not shown to the public. The only proof that they showed were the mere copies of the said letter, which is doubted by researchers for it cannot be considered as a legitimate source. Moving on, the following are the proof and disproofs found on the document. The only proof that was announced was the letter of the retraction, claimed to be signed by Dr. Rizal on the day of his death in the presence of Father Vicente Balaguer. The letter was first said to be lost, but after 39 years of Rizal's execution, Father Manuel Garcia found the alleged letter. On the other hand, here are the disproof. First, the retraction paper was only published in newspapers, and when Rizal's family asked for the original copy, the Jesuits said that it was lost. For something so important, a lot of people did not believe that it is indeed lost. After 39 years, the original copy was found in Archdiocesan archives. It was examined by Ricardo Pascual as per Archbishop Nozaleda's permission, wherein the former concluded that the document is a forgery. According to Father Balaguer, one of the terms of Rizal's retraction is to be allowed to marry Josephine Bracken once he signed the retraction letter, but there were no proofs of marriage certificate nor any public records shown to prove this statement. And lastly, Rizal's last written piece, Mi Ultimo Adios, do not reflect anything written on the alleged retraction paper. The said poem indicates religious instability. The document used Jose Rizal, Life, Works, and Writings, written by Dr. Gregorio Saide, became the main basis of the indicated information of this analysis, due to its well-founded narrative and sources of proof, which strengthens the argument of the authenticity of Dr. Jose Rizal's retraction. The controversy surrounding Rizal's alleged retraction and its impact on Philippines history remains a topic of debate and discussion among historians and scholars. However, it is generally agreed that the document may have or not have any significant impact on Philippine history. Here are some reasons why. First, the authenticity of the retraction document is still contested. Some historians believe that it is a fake, while others claim that it is genuine. Second, even if the retraction were genuine, it would not have changed the fact that Rizal is a national hero and the symbol of the Philippine resistance against Spanish colonialism. Third, the document did not alter the course of the Philippine Revolution, which was already underway at the time of Rizal's execution. Fourth, the retraction did not change the fact that the Philippines was still a colony of Spain and that the Filipinos were still fighting for their independence. Fifth, the document did not change the fact that Rizal's writings and ideas had a profound influence on the Filipino national consciousness and identity. And sixth, the retraction did not alter the fact that Rizal's execution galvanized the Philippine independence movement and inspired future revolutionaries. 7. The document did not change the fact that Rizal's life and legacy continue to be celebrated and studied in the Philippines and around the world. 8. The controversy surrounding the retraction has sparked debates about the role of religion in Philippine history and the relationship between faith and politics. 9. The retraction controversy has also shed light on the complex and often contradictory nature of Rizal's views on religion and nationalism. And lastly, the document has become a subject of literary and cultural analysis, inspiring writers and artists to explore the themes of faith, identity, and resistance in their work. In summary, while the controversy surrounding Rizal's retraction has generated much discussion and debate, it did not have any significant impact on Philippine history. The document actually did not change the history of the Philippines entirely. It did at some point for those people who tried to question Rizal as the national hero if ever he retracted and his words of honor were tainted already. Rizal remains an important figure in Philippine history and culture, and his legacy continues to inspire generations of Filipinos to this day. His literature created a large dent to the reputation of Catholic Church and Spaniards, which is being considered as the reason why the Jesuit wanted to make it seem as if Dr. Rizal really signed the papers. It will give them back their credibility considering that Rizal is a notable person of the history. This had become one of the main reasons why there are anti-retraction camp. It strengthens their belief that, in the first place, there is really no document to be shown since what they previously published were only a copy. There are no definite names, but it was said to be the Spanish military, Filipino soldiers, and officials to have had witness when Dr. Jose Rizal signed the retraction paper. This document has been presented, but until now, the authenticity is still being questioned. We search for the truth in our history not to blame anyone, but to restore the honor of the victims of injustice, to bring back the faith of our people to their own and above all, so that the future attempts to malign our race can be avoided. Our national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal, never regretted everything he has done, everything that he had done from organizing organizations, propaganda movement in La Liga Filipina, La Solidarity, other publications, and all of his writings are all reflections of his immense love, patriotism, and nationalism. Therefore, this analysis may serve as a lesson of how important it is to choose the source to believe in, for history is the remnants of our yesterday and a constant reminder for the coming days.